What has happened today is awful. I don't like making political statements much, but when it comes to this, or things like this, I have to put my 2 cents in. You know, often when these things happen, I always wonder, how can I help? How can I help the victims? How can do I send money? Do I go to the location myself? Do I go out in the streets and riot? Do I send a card? Do I focus on the the uh, the criminals who committed these crimes? Do I follow the persecution of the criminals, or do I follow the recovery of the victim? Do I These are all good questions, and I think it's really different for everyone. I would say, though, that there are paths that people don't pursue as much as they should in terms of how we should react to this. I do think there should be more support for the victims and more news coverage of the recovery of the victims and how it affects the victims. Um, in moments like these, I think of Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers would always say that his mother told him to look for the helpers. And that's what I think we should do, is we should look for the helpers. What happened was terrible. And, we should make sure that the criminals get prosecuted. We should make sure that we condone this. We should make sure that we understand what bred this hatred in the first place, and then find that source of hatred, and then make sure other people aren't bred with that hatred. But at the same time, we should also look for the helpers. We should care about the victim. We should try to find a way of us to help the victim. I think the media should focus more on the people that are helpers, because that's what Mr. Rogers said. He said, look for the helpers. And and I think something that comforts me in a time like this is thinking of the family that is comforting the victim. They're helpers. And the police who found the criminals and rescued the victim, those are helpers. People that shared this story are helpers. For they let other people know of this injustice, and they share it. And they hope by sharing it, by us talking about it, that this is not happening again. You know, so in moments like these, where such travesty happens, something that is helpful is our discussion about it. Is that if, as long as we think about in terms of everyone, us talking about these issues and working together to solve them, that makes us all helpers. And so, let's all be helpers and make sure that we understand that it's not us versus them, but it's us versus hate. I also kind of left this rather generic, so that way it can be applied to basically any tragedy that ever happens again. But yeah.